Thank you, Keith, and thanks to Latam Ventures for the opportunity to speak. It's difficult to find a theme that hasn't been covered elegantly either by Dr. Castaneda or by Eduardo, my good friend, of relevant interest to you. My plan was to make a shameless presentation of some of our, introduce a bit about our company, and then maybe as a part of that help you understand why we are interested in Mexico. I'm a great fan of Mexico. As Keith has done, have had the opportunity to live there for 6 years. Silver Standard has a number of projects around the world. We're the largest silver producer in Argentina. We have a number of large and interesting projects in Mexico, as well as in Peru and in Argentina. Because of the friendly business climate and the opportunities and obviously the geologic potential in Mexico, our next large mine will likely be in Mexico. We're developing and hope to start, finish a feasibility study and assuming favorable results of that, possibly start construction of what will be one of the largest silver mines in the country. So why don't we just go to the second slide there. And again, you can see where our projects are, the circle around Mexico. Obviously, we have a project that we call Pizzeria, very large resource, between 600 and 700 million ounces of silver, and hopefully will be a large silver mine in Mexico with a life of over 20 years. We have one of the discoverers and people who developed that, Guillermo Lozano here, another well-known name in the mining industry of Mexico, who worked very hard on that. And I hope to make him proud and make a nice mine out of it for him. Let's just do one more slide, and that would not be it. Let's do one more. There we go. Just a couple of details on what we think Pizzeria will look like. 16,000 tons a day. Actually, it would be a total movement of 200,000 tons per day. Again, this is an unusual type of mine for Mexico. The many very rich vein mines that there are in Mexico tend to be much higher grade and lower total production. This will be a bit of an anomaly, much akin more to a Peñasquitos type mine. So as far as the slides, that's all I'll present. What I'd like to do, again, everyone, including Dr. Castaneda and Eduardo, elegantly talked about a number of important issues, one of which maybe I would give a little bit of emphasis to, and maybe from a perspective of a Canadian company, as I'm sure Eduardo can appreciate, the bit of the dichotomy that has developed between two organizations which are very effective and both important in their own right, but maybe a bit of a confusion and an important decision for a new company coming in, and that's to look for an industry organization that represents you and helps you solve some of the problems you're going to have. The Canadian or the Mexican Chamber of Mines, which I had the honor of being a member of for a number of years, has a history of over 100 years and is a very, very effective entity in lobbying and representing the mining industry. I think, viewing from the outside a bit, the growth in the mining task force has been something that's evolved a bit because of the large number of small companies coming in from outside of Mexico, who I think at a certain point felt a bit of frustration and a need to have a more direct voice in some of the issues that were going on in the country. The decision that I think faces many of you who have interest in developing projects, I would just like to say, don't let it be one or the other. Because the worst thing you can do is to have a minister or an important government representative having to hear from two separate entities of the mining industry. I think the Mexican mining industry is best served by having a single voice. And if I could, make a recommendation for consideration, that that these two entities find a way to continue to improve their coordination and work together, because issues like royalties and hopefully some improvements in the land system and the need for mining companies to have long-term control and rights to their land and their minerals are going to be issues that need a single voice and a single representation and a force, because splitting the industry into two it would only make it weaker and less effective. So all of you go out and buy copious amounts of Silver Standard shares and keep an eye on our project. And it's been a pleasure and an honor to be in a group of this stature, and hopefully see many of you in years to come. Thank you.